Hello and welcome to another episode of Never Onside. Hi, this is Joseph, and joining me as usual is Mayur. In this video, we'll be discussing the Game Week 14 preview and all the matches that will be happening and all the players who can haul for us in this week. So let's get into it. So these are the Game Week 14 fixtures. Mayur, straight up, which teams and which fixtures to target for this game week?
So now the thing is, there are just 3 game weeks remaining. So looking at that way, it's a good time to uh, focus on midfielders and attackers more than the defenders, because you have a stable defense. You just keep on moving, playing those defenders, and focus on the point chasing, which is in forward places. So again, this week around the fixtures which come dancing towards the eyes is Liverpool one first of all to start with. That is the big game, Liverpool versus Leeds. As mentioned and as we heard, behind the scenes, Marsh is and Leeds fans and the hierarchy is not happy. They want results to come in, and we know Leeds are known for their aggressive play, where they, even if they concede a goal, they will go out and play. And barring the Liverpool defensive errors and the way they are playing defensively, Leeds will definitely see this as an opportunity to attack Liverpool. And we saw last time around what Nottingham Forest did, and they scored a goal and got the win. So that is the game, and I again Liverpool to score as well. Like, so I predict this as a high scoring game, probably a 2-all, 3-2, 3-all, like a high scoring game. So that is the first game to look out for. And the second game is Bournemouth
Yeah.
Spurs. So the game,
Yeah.
again, Bournemouth, who have been struggling, they haven't lost yet, but again, they aren't the best team which you have to like go for. They haven't. So Spurs are the better team, and again, they lost a few games in the past 2-3 game weeks, and they will be looking for those outlets and get back in the demanding commanding stage in the top four. So Spurs assets, if you have, there is a big debate on the fullbacks, who will be starting, who would not. So the main person here is Doherty. If you have him, I guess you play him. Perisic, I'm not sure. He played the midweek game as well, and then they have a big Champions League decider, whether they qualify or not. So I see that as being an important game for Conte, and Perisic starting in that big game where there is a lot of tension and pressure demanded from the players. So Doherty is my pick if you want to go for a option from defense. And if you already have Doherty, I would definitely play in this game, expecting a big return from him. Any fixtures for you, host?
So, straight up, the first fixture itself is the one that I would target. Without much to say, City playing against Leicester against Ward, who has kept two clean sheets surprisingly, I think. And I had him on the bench this week. Man City have some concerns, which we'll dive into it in the next slide. But that is the first fixture that comes to mind. Also, if you can see the Newcastle Aston Villa match, this will be the first game in which Unai Emery, good evening, will be back, and we'll see what he can do with this Aston Villa side, who, without a doubt, are a very good side. So I was watching a podcast in which they sorted the teams according to attacking wise numbers, and I was surprised to see that Aston Villa came in fifth or sixth position, which is surprising even under someone like Gerrard. Now, so the possibilities are endless for Aston Villa with the kind of players they have. Ings playing up front, Watkins on the right, Coutinho, Bendia. So many talented players in that squad. So anything can happen. Newcastle is also a good side. It can also be a high scoring match as well. So that is another match that I would target. Then Arsenal Nottingham Forest match. Anything can happen in this match. Arsenal, to be fair, just lost their Europa match 2-0 against PSV. So I think Saka got rested. Martinelli started, and Jesus also got rested. So probably Jesus and Saka will definitely start. Martinelli is a doubt. Coming to the Tottenham versus the Tottenham match that you discussed about, I feel Tottenham gave a lot in this Champions League match, which they drew 1-1, and almost they won it when Kane's goal was disallowed. So that they must have gone through a lot in that match, and they'll have to recover again. And Bournemouth can sit deep and give trouble to Spurs because Spurs are not looking great. Kane comes up with the odd goal. You can't expect anyone else to score other than the fullbacks maybe getting a lucky assist or something like that or a goal. So both of Perisic and Doherty started. Doherty got substituted early. So like you said, Doherty is the only one I would go to in that team, other than when you have Kane on your side. Yeah, so those are the fixtures to target in game week 14. Let's move on to the next slide. Yeah. So this is
Yes.
an issue that a lot of people are dealing with. I got rid of him in the wildcard, so I'm sitting pretty without having this headache. So Mayur, you must be going through this headache, right?
Yes. So if you look at the stats, he's not even in top 20 midfielders with a good XG. So his
Or
XG is somewhere around just 0.5, which is a very bad
yes,
XG for a talisman who is generally known to
right,
score goals. And plus,
right.
he only has got one big chance in the last 5 game weeks. So again, not a good
Mm,
statistical point of view for Zaha owners. But so looking at his
mm.
potential replacements, here are the 5 6 replacements which we can see. So considering just XG non-penalty, Almiron, who has been in a purple patch and who has scored a few goals in the last few games, he's on the top for XG
Six
non-penalty.
goals he has scored. I think he has scored 6 goals, one more than Wilson, and he is slowly taking away the goals from someone like a Wilson, who we expect to be scoring all the goals for Newcastle. So for Newcastle, the goals are getting spread between Almiron, Wilson, Bruno Guimaraes, and Almiron is at 4.5.4, is sticking out really well for us. So it's a good fun to have him in your side. Foden, we all know how good he is. You cannot compare him with the likes of Almiron or even Rashford and the rest of them, because I was checking XG non-penalty per 90 minutes, and Foden has a whopping point 0.73 XG per 90 non-penalty. And Almiron has 0.50, Saka has 0.49. So Almiron has higher XG non-penalty than someone like a Saka, who we all would gladly take into our side. But there is a stigma attached to someone like an Almiron from his performances in the last seasons. But I think he this we should give him a clean slate this time, and we should have him, because if you also see the likes of Rashford and Anthony has someone somewhere like 0.40 and 0.35 XG non-penalty per 90. But our bench player like a Pereira has 0.38, so that is very close. So so it doesn't make sense to go for someone like a Rashford or Anthony when their XC non-penalty is so low, but you have someone like a Pereira who had a run of good fixes, and if you didn't play him, then it doesn't make sense to go for people like Rashford. So I would suggest Newcastle has a good run of fixtures. Go for Almiron. Saka is a good option as well, and Foden. These would be my three players to target.
So if you had to give it a ranking, so who would be first, second, third?
Foden, obviously, and second would be a tough fight between Saka and Almiron, but I'm going to give Almiron the second spot because of the fixtures they have. I think they have good three fixtures next. Right.
Yes. They just have a Chelsea game in between, which is the home, but they have this week they have Aston Villa and Southampton next week. So those are good games. So for me, if you don't have Foden, then Foden is the first player because I feel City can score 10 goals against any option, like in the next 2 3 weeks against any opposition. If you have Foden, Saka is the top priority, because as we can see here, his XGI is like standing outstandingly higher compared to other options. So Saka is first. Second is between Almiron and Bowen for a surprise. Again, Bowen is not on penalties, as we saw. He said it in an interview. But again, the way he has been
Yeah.
playing and creating a lot of chances, and they have a good run of fixtures themselves as well. So Bowen, and
Yeah.
then third would be Rashford, if I have to say. So
Alright.
that
So
is the
another thing to note here is that the likes of Saka has higher chances created than most of these players. He has 10, while Almiron has just 3. So those are numbers to keep in mind as well. Yeah. So let's move forward. Yeah.
yes. So after
So
the
this
game against
has,
Dortmund,
yeah.
uh, Pep said we saw Haaland and Cancelo being subbed off at halftime, 45 minutes. So after the game, he came out and he said Cancelo had a fever, so that's why he was taken off. Again, similar to that, Haaland had a fever. First thing, second thing, he was feeling a bit tired, and third thing, he was feeling some kind of injury in his knee, that part. So those are the three things which Pep said after the game, that they were concerning, and hence that resulted into substitution at halftime. But yesterday we saw on Twitter a video where we could see Haaland walking gingerly. So again,
Hmm.
um,
Erlim
I
Haaland.
yes.
Erlim Haaland. Someone was coming.
So definitely,
Yeah.
if I think if there is a risk or any way the injury might be like increasing or some kind of a thing, they would definitely rest him, and they wouldn't take any chance, because they know they are on top of things at the moment, and there is no need to take any kind of risk. But if he
Right.
is fit to
Right.
play,
Right.
I
Right.
see he can be played. So let's
Yeah.
move on to
So
our team source, or do you want to add? Yes, yes.
yeah, so this no no, let's move on to our team. So this will give us a conundrum finally for captaincy if Haaland will play or not, or else everyone was sticking to Haaland for all the game weeks. Now we have something to think about. For us both, I think Haaland cap we have kept it like that only, but we'll assess the situation and we'll take a decision on this. Mayur, who do you cap if Haaland is not going to feature?
So I see a clear winner, Salah. I know he has been very disappointing. Many have burnt their fingers already capping him. But again, as I mentioned in the start of the video, Leeds versus Liverpool, I see it a high scoring game. And if they play the way they have been playing 4-4-2, Salah playing centrally alongside Darwin, I see there are various chances he can get, and he can match Darwin at least. So if you don't have any options, I suggest you go for Darwin. Darwin will be my first pick. But if you have Salah, I definitely see Salah, because again, penalties is a big thing. So that's why I am thinking about Salah, captaining Haaland and vice captaining Salah, as in the photo you can see. So that is my strategy. What
Yeah.
about you, Hose?
So I have gone for Saka vice captain because I was one of the persons who got burned by Salah captaincies before, and I don't trust him enough to give him the captaincy now because last game week also we saw what happened because people who captained Salah got burned. Thankfully, I had Haaland captain this time. I think FPL Andy captained Salah in the last minute during his stream, and he's like, "Let me captain Salah at least in a Nottingham Forest match. Please let me do that at least." And he got burned eventually. So I don't want to go there again. Is my thinking right now, but eventually I'll think about it. Salah and Saka are able players to take on the mantle if Haaland is not playing. Foden is also available. I think he featured in the match, right, in the Champions
Yes.
League match. I guess he played a good chunk of the minutes. So that's also an issue. Cancelo also has some issue as well, right?
Flu like,
So
but I think he would be fit enough to play. And plus, looking at the current situation in Manchester City, they don't have a lot of players who can do what Cancelo do as a fullback. So
right.
definitely they are relying on him. So I think he will play.
Right.
And anything for transfers, those any plat transfers? What are your strategy?
I think I'll save the transfer. I don't see any issues to target right now. What do you think about moving forward? Are you keeping Salah or are you distributing the funds elsewhere from the next game week where he has a difficult run of fixtures?
I will
You
keep
thought about
Salah,
it yet?
and the current situation looks like I would double up on Liverpool attack. So Darwin is high in my
Oh,
thoughts. So Mitrovic, who hasn't looked very good since the injury news, he is barely moving. He
mm,
has got goals, but those were penalties. So I'm keen on moving Mitrovic to Darwin. Is what currently I am thinking as of now, which will be done the next week. I don't have the money, so I will be
all,
saving this week
all.
and would be moving to Darwin next week. That is why my plan, and keeping Salah as well at the moment.
So if I don't have a Mitrovic, does it make sense to play Andreas Pereira in the because of the
Yes,
kind of form he is in? It makes sense, right? So
yes,
someone like an
definitely.
Anderson can go on the bench, but eventually I think some of my subs will have to be called in to replace someone like a Martinelli or Haaland if he doesn't play. So let's see how it goes. But I'm a bit concerned about Arsenal now. Are they um, going to experience a dip in form because last two games against Leeds they barely escaped with the points, and then they lost the last match, lost or
Yes,
draw. I'm not sure. What did they?
drop points,
Yeah.
drop points.
So and then drop points, and then now against PSV they have lost. So let's see what happens in the next game week because I have gone all guns blazing on Arsenal. So let's see how it pans out.
So yes, that's it for the video. If you haven't still joined our league, the league code is mentioned on the screen and in the description box below as well. And for the whole podcast, you can follow us on all our social media handles. We upload weekly podcasts there. That's it. Thank you for. Bye.
Bye.